Hey everyone, it's Ergo Josh, and I wanted to take a moment here to talk about some of the recent updates in the social media world for us artists, specifically considering the new hit app, Cara, as well as some of the recent troublesome updates with Meta and their policies on AI. I know you all watch me for the metaphysical and deep introspective perspectives that I have, so let's get right into it, right into the nitty gritty here. So if you haven't heard of it, Cara, Cara, is a new social media app focused on being an art-only platform for artists across the globe. And at the time of me recording this, it's already reached over 500,000 users, and I myself have made my own account and started using it and enjoying it recently. It was started by an artist named Jingna Zhang, I hope I'm saying that correctly, who goes by Z-Motion on Instagram, and she's most notably known for her recent fight against a photographer who plagiarized her work for an art contest, which she won earlier this year. Congrats to her, and I think that is an awesome thing for the art community, right? Every win is a win. It's another great step forward in artists getting recognized for the value of our work. Now, around the same time that Cara started popping off last month, because it's been a thing, it was in development for a while, Meta, the owner of Instagram, previously known as Facebook, announced that they were scraping all of the content that they have on our accounts on Instagram, and they feed it to their AI to use as training content for it to be able to grow and learn, right? The problem is, well, that's already a problem, but the real big problem is that you're signed up by default to accept that based off of their terms and services, and you have to actually sign up to opt out to get them not to do this. And this isn't even enabled for everyone across the globe, I'm pretty sure. However, something I do want to make clear is that they didn't make any exact statements that they're going to be using artists' artwork to create artistic imagery like Midjourney AI. But Meta's track history with unlawfully collecting our data is more than enough reason for anyone not to trust posting their artwork on Instagram anymore. I'm not saying you should do that, but a lot of people feel that way, and I completely understand their viewpoint. However, I do also want to point out that posting your artwork on social media, posting any imagery that you have taken yourself onto social media, has always kind of made it up for grabs for anyone else on the internet, if your account is public at least. Many people don't really read the fine print with when they sign up for a social media app, but it's kind of the cold hard truth, and the internet is a very new landscape where there isn't very much rules and regulations built up around it, and I want to talk about that a little bit more later. But the super old people making the laws right now don't really spend any time on the internet or understand the ways of the internet and how powerful and significant it is. So it's still going to be a while before things like this can really be policed and given the scrutiny that they need to. So it's kind of up to us to do it ourselves. There's a lot of lack of trust from any corporation, from anyone in the world right now, but anyone making money in general has already been kind of looked down upon in the art community, and it's kind of grown rampant to the point where I'm honestly getting tired of it because I don't really think it's coming from a good or genuinely concerned place. I think it's showing a bigger problem that has been the underbelly of the art community for a long time. A character designer named Crystal Kung, who goes by Crystal Eats Your Brain on Instagram, made a really interesting post that I want to show you, where they tried to get AI to replicate their artwork in multiple different ways, and it was almost always able to understand the concepts that they were showing, but it never could perfectly replicate their style. That is something that I wish that they pointed out in the slides a little bit more, but they did have quite a really thoughtful discussion on their experiment in the caption. But at the end, there's a really funny part where they basically show a picture of their iPad on the bed with their leg and their dog in the photo as well, and then they feed that into Midjourney, and it turns that image into an artwork in and of itself with different dogs and different angles. And I thought that was funny, but I also thought it presented a really interesting idea about how maybe we should start sharing our artwork nowadays with these updates with AI and everything. Maybe it kind of kills two birds with one stone, where we share the process, we share the experience of what it's like to create art again, like we used to when there was no digital art and you just had your paints and pencils. When AI scrapes that, when the algorithms are collecting stuff, they can't really get the artwork in its full glory, and a lot of times they may be confused. But at the same time, we're actually enriching the art community by sharing the experience more with our followers, with the people who are coming up behind us, with our peers, and helping inspire people to be even more creative with how they approach creating and designing their own work. Looking at a lot of the different conversations and discussions about Cara, I noticed that there was a pretty large ongoing discussion about whether or not people are leaving Instagram. I see a lot of people when they post, "Hey, I'm on Cara, follow me at my current Instagram username." They also share or don't share whether or not they are going to be leaving Instagram or deleting their posts. And there are actually people who are doing that. I found that kind of surprising because from my perspective, I thought it was all about, the social media hustle. It's the internet grind, the influencer grind to just get on every single platform out there and put out your content and hope for the best, right? It's the best way to get a lot more eyes on your work rather than trying to focus everything on one platform. But to be honest, after saying that, I do have to put this here that both approaches have their pros and cons, and one isn't necessarily better than the other. So I found it kind of odd that people were actually deleting their work, but then when I remembered that, oh yeah, it's the whole thing that Meta is doing with the AI and the scraping of our artwork, I see why people are removing their images. But I don't mean to be depressing here, but it's too late. It's honestly too late if you're trying to remove it just so that Meta doesn't scrape it. They've already had it for a long time. They have everything. It's a little bit of the doomer, Redditor, what is it called? The people who are out there trying to stay completely unseen by the government, who are extremely addicted to staying anonymous. They usually say that the moment you put anything out there online, it's out there forever, and you should just assume everyone has it. And I've always kind of went along with that philosophy. It's probably not necessary for most people, and something that's good for if you're actually putting yourself out there as a content creator or influencer, but I think it definitely applies with anything that you have posted to Instagram, knowing, again, Meta, aka Facebook's track history. I still do kind of think that why not just spend a few extra minutes to repost your artwork and copy the caption and get a few extra views on a few different platforms. Especially since Instagram allows you to post things and schedule them within the app itself nowadays. If you do it right, it doesn't have to take you much more time. However, regardless if you want to do that or not, I think it's way more important to take a step back and ask yourself what you actually want out of these social media platforms. And I would encourage you not to put exposure so that I can make money on that list. I want you to think about what can a service provide to you as an individual, as an artist, but also just as a human being. I know it might be a little bit challenging, but I think it's time for all of us to stop following the herd because nobody really knows what they're doing right now. Like I've mentioned before in a few other videos, the internet has only really existed for about 20-something years. And when I say existed, I mean accessible by your average person. Of course, the very beginning of the internet was in some, scientist laboratory somewhere, but it's really, really young and nobody knows what they're doing and how things are going to pan out in the future right now. I am currently using Cara and choosing to step away from using Instagram threads or meta threads or whatever it's called as much because for me, it's kind of become a mini Twitter and not really so focused on the art, even though I only follow artists, but I'm definitely not leaving Instagram. Social media has become such a great place for artists, because of the massive increase in exposure, right? And this is related to why I said not to focus on, oh, because I can get followers and sell my artwork and make money. Because I know that's the main reason everyone wants to put in so much effort and work into these platforms, right? But it also was just to get people to see your work and to get more attention. Let's be honest here. It's a lot nicer when you share a piece of artwork and it gets 10 comments instead of just one or two after 2 weeks when you posted it on DeviantArt. That was my experience when I made the shift. Oh, probably almost 10 years ago now, right? It's a pretty nice feeling, and people still feel that way because nothing compares to the billions of users on one platform compared to just the thousands on another. This is so significant that I honestly believe for a long time that there's no other way art only platforms by definition could thrive after Instagram took hold, because what value would it give to the artist? Only other artists would see your work and then they're not going to buy it, right? Artists buy a lot of other artists' work, but not nearly to the degree that actually makes most artists be able to make a living, right? There are artists you've never heard of that are making way more money than you could ever dream, and they don't necessarily depend on social media, and they didn't need to. Nobody really needed to before the internet. However, lately, I've been seeing that there's a lot more than just exposure that artists need, and we're becoming a lot more aware of that. I think I see that we want connection. I feel this myself. We want to see other art like ours. We want to experience other people's artworks and perspectives on things. We're artists. We like to look at art at the end of the day, right? We like to feel inspired. It's enjoyable for us. And honestly, it's been getting annoying to have to scroll through so much advertising and feeding your head with all sorts of other low quality, divisive, incendiary content that is designed to just get you addicted to looking at your phone for hours on end, and then you end up feeling terrible about yourself. It's a deep, deep feeling I think we can all relate to. So, to give myself as a personal example, I've started making a huge shift to consume a lot more anime, TV shows, and play a lot more video games instead of look at social media content. There's just way too many voices in my head these days, and I literally think it's made me go insane a bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if everyone has suffered some portion of that to some degree. Our brains really have not been developed to be able to handle so many different opinions and ideas at once. And no matter if you feel like you're just passively scrolling, it does get recorded into your mind. It is something that you experience, and it affects your emotions and how you see things over time. And sometimes I just want to look at art. When I downloaded Cara for the first time and started scrolling through it, it just felt beautiful. Just seeing so much great artworks, one after the other, and nothing else. It just felt good, and I found myself spending more time on it than I thought. All I wanted to do was reserve the Ergo Josh handle and move on with my day. Again, it's so nice to see so many different types of artwork so quickly and get an insight into what other artists like. You can still see the likes that other artists are liking on Cara. That used to be a thing on Instagram, but they removed that because it kind of became a little bit wishy-washy with how people treated it as a social media app, and then privacy concerns and bullying and all that. It got messy. I also love to be able to see and feel what other artists are thinking and feeling, because you can post text posts as well, just like on Twitter. And because it's an artist-only platform, I'm actually a lot more interested in seeing and reading all of these different viewpoints because I feel like I have a connection to them. It feels like a community. It feels like a hub. It feels more like a place that I belong and where my opinions are valid. And reading this specific group of people's opinions actually feels valuable to me in many different ways. I can get a much faster view of how the community is doing at a glance than I could using an app like Instagram. And I don't even have to make sure that I follow the right people. It's just super fast and it feels like I belong there. And I think that's a feeling that we all crave so deeply that is more valuable to any of us than any amount of money that we could be getting from sales of prints on Instagram, your brushes or whatever you use, your stickers or your pins. I think this comes first. Honestly, Kara, please don't ever remove the ability to see other artists' likes, because I'm pretty sure Twitter still has that, or X as it's called, and that's a thing on ArtStation as well, which has been extremely helpful to me on my art journey. What I like about Kara in comparison to ArtStation is that even though it has a little bit of professionalism to it, it doesn't feel restrictive. It doesn't feel elite. I feel like I belong there too, right? And some people may see me as someone who is in that category, but I haven't worked in the animation industry or anything. It's nice to feel like when I post something, it has just as much merit as anyone else's artwork compared to ArtStation, where it's just like it feels extremely daunting to share a work there, because if you're not the best of the best, you probably won't get a single comment for months, if that. To go more into that portfolio feature, when you make a post, you can actually select whether or not you want it to appear in your portfolio, which is a separate side of your account right next to your timeline, where you can select specific posts to show up as curated pieces, which I think is awesome because it helps you get rid of that weird stress of feeling like you have to have a good gallery like here on Instagram, and it gives you a lot more freedom. I've had a lot of ideas where I wanted to post something and I knew it would contrast big time with what my gallery looked like, and I've been worried about how it's going to affect my potential new followers and my current followers. It is extremely painful to notice, especially nowadays when you post something and you see your follower count drop, as if people are reminded that you exist and they don't like you anymore. But with this type of feature, one doesn't really have to worry about that. You can just post whatever you want to post on your timeline and then keep your portfolio separate, and people will actually check your portfolio section because it's just one tap away. Limiting your creativity in the moment like that is extremely toxic to any creative soul on the planet, so I really commend Kara for making that decision. I think they're honestly doing a great job doing their part to steward the next generation of artists and guiding us back to a healthy relationship with ourselves and our community, which is something that I strive to do myself here on this channel all the time. I've also seen a post recently talking about how, with all the popularity with Kara, to make sure that you follow different artists, not just collect followers. And while I do understand that sentiment, I think it's still missing the point a bit. No matter how many followers you have, no matter how many people you follow, what matters is your artwork and the engagement and interaction you have with other artists. I don't care if you have 100,000 or 10 followers, posting your work and engaging with artists is like gold compared to the soil from a farm that has been overused for a decade and has been completely drained of all of its nutrients. Followers and counts and those numbers are just useless compared to the richness of interacting with other creatives. So please never forget the priority of what you want to experience on this app. Post your artwork, please. Don't worry about following and matching follower counts and trying to get like for likes and follow for follow. Some people have seen that already, which is extremely saddening because that should stay dead in like the 20 teens and never come back because it's completely useless. Now, to be clear, I am not endorsed by Kara or sponsored by them at all to make this video. I just wanted to encourage them and other artists to continue moving in this direction. I really like what I am seeing here. No one really has everything all figured out when it comes to social media and supporting artists. No brand is perfectly squeaky clean. I really am disappointed at so many people trying to find chinks in the armor so that they can say that something is a scam and a complete waste of time. Rather, what we should be doing is to keep moving towards what feels right to us individually and what actually provides value to us individually and to artists as a whole. And eventually we'll make the internet a much better place for us. We'll make people recognize the value of artists and the importance of creating a somewhat sacred community for us to thrive. I think it goes even further than that. In this time, with AI booming so much and so many corporations scrambling to make more money, which I'll talk about in a video in the future, we need to start voting with our attention. It used to be vote with your wallet, right? Just shut up and decide with your money what you're going to invest in. But in this day and age, the highest form of currency is your attention. I believe in 100 or 200 years, we're going to look back at this time as the dawn of the internet era, right? We're only a couple decades into something that has completely revolutionized the entire world as history knew it for thousands of years. We don't really pay attention to it because we're living in it right now. But the past quarter century is completely different from the entire rest of humanity. Our entire existence has never experienced this level of connection as ever before. So I say that to emphasize again that no one has any clue how anything is going to turn out even just 10 years down the line. Every single day is bringing us a new perspective on what it means to live on this planet as a human being, let alone an artist. Let me know if you've experienced this, and elders have told us that, oh, things never change. It's the same old games, the same old stuff. But things have changed, and a lot of things they were completely wrong about. Look at all the millennials and Gen Z videos and documentaries and stories between individual people talking about how what their parents experienced and worked for has no value to us because it's simply not a viable way to approach life. I personally see millennials as the trailblazers to figure out how do we survive? What is the next pattern formula to living and growing through your adolescent years and making it into adulthood and developing? We're figuring out how do we take another look at that because the way our parents and grandparents did it doesn't work anymore. Things change so much every single day, and something I spent hours trying to figure out how to do when I was in school, I can do just by downloading an app today. And I'm not old. Well, I'm about to be old. It's incredible how fast things have changed. I really wonder what it's like to be in elementary or middle school nowadays with ChatGPT at your fingertips. Nothing really compares to the amount of change the internet has brought about to the world in such a short time span. We have so much knowledge and access to what other people are experiencing on the planet, anywhere on the planet at any given moment. It's really insane, and it's causing, I believe, a lot of internal change and turmoil across every single nation. I personally think that only those that take the time to withdraw from all of this for at least a little bit and try to figure out what really matters to them will be the only ones who can navigate the near future with any sort of sense of clarity or guarantee. Because it's been completely wild and it's going to continue to be wild. The past 4 years have brought us a worldwide epidemic that has changed so many things, and an explosion in automated computing that has basically made, half of the careers out there feel threatened to be replaced all at once. Imagine what the next 4 years will bring, or the next 5, or the next 10. I couldn't even imagine that far. So I say all that to encourage you to recognize how significant the role that you play in the development of everyone's future is. And I want all of us to start being more intentional about where we spend our time, who we spend our time with, what our goals are, and what we actually want to do and what we want to experience in the next month, in the next year, in the next 6 months. COVID taught us that we can't necessarily take all that for granted. So take time to plan that, to think about that, and move towards that. And I think that's the only way you can find some sort of consistency in the next few years with so much change going on. I really hope that people stop looking at everything going on in the art community with such a us versus them sort of tunnel vision. I do respect the people who are holding Cara up to scrutiny. We definitely need people to do that. It's extremely important. But the focus should be on a much more broad picture overall. You aren't some mindless drone that is liable to be fooled at any moment and just have your dreams taken away from you. The moment Cara decides to switch it up and be like Instagram and introduce ads and an algorithm to promote the most popular stuff, all you have to do is stop using it. That is enough to make your voice heard. There's so many people that believe that nothing they do will matter because they're just one person, and that's exactly what the forces that be want you to think. Now I sound like a conspiracy theorist. But honestly, it's true because that way you just shut up and accept things as the way they are. And if everyone does it, then that's what happens. If something is enjoyable and serves you well now, then use it. The moment it isn't, pick up your things and move on. There's always going to be something else better on the horizon. If it's not already here in the moment, just like Cara and what was the app before it called Blue Sky were right when Meta started doing its, getting crazy. It's always been crazy, but you know what I'm saying. So take charge of your life, take stock of what you want to see, what you want to experience, what you want to spend your time doing and looking at, and focus more on that. And I think you'll see more of that start to come out and manifest in your life, honestly. I hope you enjoy the Joining of Cara Delevingne I did. I thought it was cool. Like Cara, right? Cara Delevingne. She has nothing to do with the app, but I thought it would get some clicks. We'll see how it went with when the video uploads. Not only was her name perfect for the video, but type in Cara Delevingne on Pinterest and you'll see she's got like a million different expressions, which is just perfect because I'm currently training myself to get a lot more free with my expression making again and just get a lot looser and more flowy again with my portraits and drawing in general. I've been painting a lot and I want to make sure I balance both of those skills. If you're interested in the drawings and the sketches I've been working on throughout this video, it's all done on Procreate with my Ergo Sketch brush pack, and you can check that out on my website at ergojosh.com/brushes or store.ergojosh.com. So let me know what you think. Will you be making an account on Cara? Will you be deleting your Instagram account? Will Cara be the first time you start to share your artwork online? Let me know in the comments. It's also available for you to use on a desktop browser, which is really cool. And it's a lot faster, even though it's in its early stages, than Vero was back in the day. Does anybody remember that app? We all tried it just as intensely as we downloaded Cara, but it quickly died because it was extremely slow. But Cara's got its quirks right now. It's a small team, but consider supporting them if you want to see more of this. And there's no point in regretting how things go or may go in the future because all of that goes towards what I mentioned before. More connection, more community, more authenticity, and more visibility between artists all across the internet. And if Cara gets popular enough, you know how all of these companies are. They're going to see, and they're probably going to make some changes to try to entice us back. And that's exactly how things should be. We should be making these big corporations compete for our attention to give us what we want, right? But they're not going to give us what we want if we don't make changes and make decisions with our behavior. If we just complain about it, they're not going to do anything. We've got to show up. We've got to, some people are deleting their accounts. Some people are deleting their posts. You don't have to go that far. I honestly don't recommend it, but do something. And I think it'll go a lot further than you could ever imagine. And I know it's not easy. Trust me, even with this channel, it's taken me a long time to realize the amount of influence I have over people in the art community myself. It took me a lot of time to honestly accept that. But now I'm stepping more and more into ownership of that. And I want to do more with it. I want to encourage more behavior that I enjoy, and I want to see more artwork, and I want to see more new people get into the art community and a lot more different ideas, and there's a lot more harmony across the board. I think people have the opportunity to grow so much more, not just in their skills, but in their identity as an artist these days than when I was coming up in the art community. So that's it from me, everyone. If you want to hear more videos like this, or watch more videos and listen to more of my thoughts and ramblings, hit that subscribe button. And make sure you turn those notifications on, because regardless of what happens on these apps, I'm still going to be here on YouTube, that's for sure. I've been Ergo Josh, your host today, and keep drawing, stay balanced, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Bye.